Damn, god dang it, freaking pinch bolt. That shit's stuck there. It's so hard to get out. Damn, are you kidding me, dude? The freaking thread on the front lower control arm freaking snapped. Thought it was gonna be an easy job replacing all these control arms, but it's harder than I thought because of how everything is freaking seized in their location. Or if not, then it's all rusted. So I'm at work and just noticed, like, damn, needed to replace my control arms in the front like a month ago. So I did my coilover some time ago, and I did notice that my bushings on my control arms were bad. Wanted to do it soon, but just never got to around it, and the kit is sitting at home. So I guess it's about time, because can't be going through tires, and I got a new set of wheels for this. Alright, made it home safely. Let's get this B6 A4 pulled into the garage and get the control arms replacement started. Okay, the B6 A4 is set up and ready for service. Let me show you the kit that I bought. So here's the kit that I bought. The Miley HD full system front control arm system. I got this kit from FCP Euro. Came in pretty quick. It comes with a whole bunch of stuff. Both uppers, both lowers, all the bolts, even the tie rod ends, and you see here the sway bar links. So that's going to be a lot of fun to do, actually. So my plan is to tackle one side first. This is my first time doing this, but not unfamiliar with the system because I've done coilovers a couple of times on this. So it's pretty easy in my opinion. The only issue I would think is trying to remove some of those pinch bolts. But anyways, my plan is to take the whole struts out actually, so that I can properly torque the two upper control arms at the top hat there. So I think the first thing I'm gonna do is take these out, take the whole strut assembly out, and then while that is out, replace the two lower control arms and the sway bar links and the tie rod end right up here, and then put in the two top uppers, and then put the whole strut assembly back in. So let me go ahead and get the driver's side done first, and then I will show you how I did it on the passenger side. Alright guys, finally finished up the driver's side, and let me tell you, it was not as fast and as easy as I thought it was, thanks to bolts rusting and the freaking, ball joints and joints seizing up into the pressed locations that they go into. Anyways, everything is in. New tie rod, both upper control arms, and new both lower control arms, and new sway bar end links. So finally got this side done. Not fully done. I still need to torque everything down, but I'm going to torque it when it is at its resting position, when the car is sitting down, so that the bushings are in the correct resting position and not stressed when you torque it like right now. So I'm going to torque it later, but I guess I am going to start to show you guys how I did all of that on the passenger side, and give you guys some tips on how I was able to replace each of the control arm as best as I can. All right, so let's get started on the passenger side. The first most important thing to do is spray PB Blaster on all of the joints. So the two up here, and I did the two down here, and I also just shot the lower control arm at the frame there, and that should be good. Oh, and also on this tie rod end right here too. So shoot some PB Blaster and let it sit. I should have done it on the other side first before starting to take off all of the pieces, but I actually shot these with PB Blasters while I was doing the other one, so I can let them sit. All right, now let's get started to replacing some of these parts. So on this side, I think I'm gonna do it in a different sequence. On the other side, I replaced the two uppers first, the two bottom, and then the tie rod. But for this side, I think the best route to do is start with the tie rod first, then the lower rear, and then the lower front, and then the two upper control arms. So that's gonna be the sequence that I will be doing it. So first guy here, there is 3 bolts and nuts that you need to loosen and remove. So you have a 13mm bolt up here that you need to take out all the way. You have a 16mm nut here that you need to remove all the way, and then you have a little nut back here that I use a crescent wrench to take off, and then you just twist the tie rod itself, the whole tie rod itself, to remove it out of this the rack and pinion in here. So let me go ahead and take this guy out first. Okay, so the tie rod is out. So once you got all the bolt out, all you do is bang this part of the knuckle and the tie rod will start coming out. Well, that was in my case. Some of you guys might have more of a struggle depending on how seized it is in there. Anyways, here's the old one. Loosen up this nut, 16mm nut, and a 13mm bolt. Here's the new one. Comes with all new bolts and nuts. Now let's get this guy installed. So before I install this guy though, I'm going to grease this area with anti-seize and the threads with anti-seize and then install it. Oh yeah, so also for temporary wheel alignment, before you get an actual wheel alignment, I just do a quick comparison of new to old and then just position this as close as the old one as possible. The new tie rod is in, not torqued down, but in, because I'm gonna torque everything all at once later when everything's installed. Now let's get to the lower rear control arm here. So there's just an 18mm bolt and screw, or bolt and nut, and then there's an 18mm nut right here where the wrench is at. So just loosen those two up and the lower rear control arm should be able to come out. You might need to bang some areas here and there for the stuff to come out, but it should be able to come out. All right, so the lower rear control arm is out. 18mm bolt, 18mm head, and an 18mm nut, and another 18mm nut here. So on this end, of course, I did have to bang it a couple of times with the hammer, but thanks to the PB Blaster, it helped a lot. So here's the new one. Before I install the new one, I am going to apply some anti-seize to this portion of the joint so that it doesn't seize for whatever reason if I need to replace this again in the future. So let's go ahead and get this new one installed. Okay, so the rear lower control arm is in, 18mm bolt and nut there, and then an 18mm nut on this end. Now let's get to the front lower control arm. So there's 3 nuts and bolt. You have an 18mm down here. You have a 16mm here that connects the sway bar end link to the sway bar, and then you have another 18mm nut and bolt there. And also you got to take this 18mm nut bolt here that holds the coilover assembly or whatever suspension assembly onto the lower front control arm. Front lower control arm is out, just 3 nuts and bolt. You have a nut here, you have a bolt here, and you have a nut and bolt on this end here. So here's the new one. Like I said, before I install the new one, I always like to put some anti-grease here to help with future anything in the future if I need to replace this guy again. To take out this guy, I did have to bang on this end a couple of times, and this one was able to come out. So before I put that lower front control arm on, I think it's best now to replace the 2 upper ones. So I'm going to get that removed. So like I said, on the other side, I'm going to take out this whole strut assembly so that it's easier to correctly torque the bolts and nut up there. So I'm gonna get at this guy here. This is usually the hardest part. This guy here is a 16 millimeter nut and bolt. That should be able to take these two out, and then you just need to take out another 3 additional 16 millimeter bolt that holds this whole coilover assembly in with the top hat, which is up here. So you have one here, you have another one hiding here, and you have another one hiding down there. So let me go ahead and take that whole assembly out. Damn, god dang it, freaking pinch bolt. That shit's stuck there, so hard to get out. Holy heck, was that fun to freaking take out. I hope I didn't mess that area up. Gonna check it after I replace the upper control arm on the suspension assembly up front here. So now I'm going to take the 2 upper control arm off. All of this is a 16 millimeter bolt and nut, and a 16 millimeter bolt and nut there. So I'm going to take that off real quick. Got the new 2 upper control arm into the suspension assembly. New bolts and nut, both 16 millimeter. Torqued it down to spec. Now I'm going to install the front lower control arm and the sway bar end link, and there's all the new bolts for it, and it's going to be pretty straightforward. So the lower control arm is going to go here, where the ball joint goes down there, and this one here connects to the lower control arm too, and then the sway bar end link connects to there, and then the end of the lower control arm connects there. So let me go ahead and get both of those pieces in and then show you the after product. Alright guys, everything is bolted in. Front lower control arm, sway bar end link, upper control arms, and upper joints to the knuckle. So as a reminder, I did lube up the long bolt here and the 2 knuckle joints with anti-seize, so that can help me out in the future and doesn't cause it to seize again for whenever or for whatever reason I would need to replace anything that would require to remove that. But I think that will be it, and that is how you replace the both lower control arm and the tie rod on a B6 A4. It should be the same thing for a B6 S4, Avant, and also I believe the same thing for a B7 model Audis. So that was definitely a long few days of trying to get those upper control arm joints out of the knuckle, but everything is all out and replaced. So now all I gotta do is torque all of the replaced part to spec. The torque specs that I'm using is found online, and I can post that down below in the description for if you need any of the torque values for any of the bolts. But I think that will be it for this video, guys. I'm gonna button everything up, torque it all down, take it for a test drive tomorrow morning and see how it goes. I also gonna need an alignment real soon too, after replacing all of that, because I'm pretty sure it's gonna be really off, also because of the tie rods being like just a judgment on the placement of that, lock nut. All right guys, so that's gonna conclude this video here. If you guys have any further questions on how I did the front suspension control arms and tie rod replacements, just comment it down below, and I will try my best to help you guys out. Anyways, I just want to say thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to help support my channel, comment any sort of feedback to help my channel grow, and like this video if you guys find it helpful. Thanks guys. I will see you guys in the next video.